tribute to Chief Dyer and what EECU and others have helped make happen here at the fair. That's incredible. I thought the tractor tree was going to be a thing you couldn't top, but that's pretty cool.
Well, thank you. We dedicated that to Chief Dyer last Friday morning, and I think it was probably one of the more emotional times that I've been here at the Big Fresno Fair. I know that Chief Dyer was taken back, overwhelmed. The piece alone is the feature piece in our new Iron Mountain area. It stands about 14 and a half feet tall, and it weighs, Lance, about 3.1, 3.2 tons.
Wow. The metal, when I walked up to it at first, I thought I saw the big Angus sitting out front.
Yeah.
And the steer, he's sitting out front, and I walked up and thought, wow, and then I didn't catch it, and then I turned and looked, and it looked almost like a Terminator, a modernized and recycled metal. So to explain what they do, like the tractor tree, which is in the Guinness Book of World Record, and if you haven't seen the tractor tree, it came in here to the 135th Big Fresno Fair.
Yes.
Now 136 years. Mm-hmm. This is a new addition with the metal art, and it looks like it's recycled metal art. Is that correct? Is that what they do?
You're absolutely correct. Everything that is in that Iron Mountain is all recycled, and that was kind of our thrust after doing the tractor tree. And we were blessed this year. It came out last month in Ripley's, believe it or not, international book. Wow. So we're featured in that, and it's pictured in there. And anytime you can get any kind of international exposure and bring that to Fresno, I think that's a good thing. So we had some extra pieces left over from the tractor tree, and we got to thinking, well, let's make this, and well, let's make that. And then pretty soon we started making a bunch of stuff, and outside artists in our community, in our county, came to us and said, well, why don't you put a bunch of our pieces together and create, kind of an area for us. I said, outstanding. So we did. And it's a permanent area. It's not going to be moved in and moved out like an exhibit that comes in for the fair. It's there and it's permanent. And we're just very, very proud of all the art there. There's so many people and so many different pieces represented there. Mm-hmm. It's so much about our culture and so much about our area. And
I saw Coach Tedford.
I hope a lot of people come out. Yes, Coach Tedford couldn't make the event last Friday. He was obviously on the road with the football team, but he will be here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. He has to come and go. He won't even be able to be here for opening ceremonies, but we're going to do a little opening dedication. Opening ceremony for him because, he set an NCAA record going from single digit to double digit win plus a bowl win. Yeah. And he did that back to back. So that set an NCAA record. We wanted to recognize that, and we recognized it in our way. Yeah. Expression of art, and it's pretty neat.
What I liked about it too, it's Fresno State. It's synonymous with the valley.
Yes.
And you see that V, and when I turned, I didn't even catch the bench with his name on it. Or the structure, but I turned and I saw that V in the bulldog, and I went, oh, they got the bulldogs. Oh, Tedford, this is cool, the turf, and you're walking on the turf, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then as I walked up, it took my attention away. Then there's a scuba diver, and he's inside something, and I back up and look at it. It's a huge great white hanging.
That's a 17.5-foot great white shark we built, and we put an actual scuba diver in his mouth because his teeth are sharp, and we wanted to make sure that it was a safe and secure and sound exhibit. So we put that scuba diver, filled him full of foam and stuck him up in there, wired him up in there, and then we made fish and starfish and all that kind of stuff underneath him. It was that was an exhibit that was really fun to put together. They were all fun.
Oh yeah.
But the one with Chief Dyer, he's kind of for your listeners that didn't see the front page of the Fresno Bee or just trying to imagine what he looks like. He's kind of a cross between RoboCop and Iron Man.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like this modern thing. I looked and thought, wow, this is cool. And immediately when I looked at it, I put myself in his shoes, standing there for the very first time and seeing that. And I will tell you this, and I know you feel the same way. It's done an amazing job here at the fair, keeping it safe.
40 years.
Yeah, keeping it safe. And I know he's physically present. And I've seen other events around town, big events, and you see that bald head cruising through the crowd and just checking it out and amazing guy. And what's happened here by you dedicating that to is just, I'm sure it was an emotional moment for him, because I think he does it very selfless. I mean, this is, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it right. And that seems to be his way of doing things.
Absolutely. He was very touched. I think he was very humble.
Yeah.
And he was very appreciative of the fact that someone recognized him for 40 years of service and 18 years as our chief.
Yeah.
We tried to make it reflective upon him.
Yeah.
As I said in my little presentation, there's not one piece of plastic in that whole structure. It's all steel, concrete, mortar, and welding rod. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's massive.
It's solid.
And we also put all of his logos of all of his departments, you know, like the helicopter, the canines,
Yeah.
the mounted unit, and all that. We even took horseshoes from the mounted unit, his horses, and put them around the belt. That's the conchos of the belt of the superhero.
Oh,
We pointed that out to him, and he just thought that was something. The belt buckle is his badge. It's off of a main gear off of a John Deere tractor, and then I had my artist paint his badge right in the center of that, and it weighs about 21 pounds. I mean, it's huge.
Wow.
But it's pretty cool.
You got to come check it out. It's in the pavilion area, and the name of that, is there a name to the pavilion?
Yes, it's Iron Mountain, and it is sponsored by EECU, and I want to thank those folks for stepping up and recognizing the educational value, Mr. Perez that came out when we first previewed it, and he saw all the owls that we had done. We like doing owls, so it kind of fit their logo. But he said, you know, this is really not just an exhibit, it's a gallery.
It is.
Of
it's
local
art.
artists.
Beautiful art.
And he said, yeah, I'd like to have maybe one or two of these pieces at my house. So I was very taken back by that statement. So we're happy to have ECU on it. We have a coloring contest, so kids can actually color the superheroes and all the stuff that we have up in there, and some bicycles away for the better artists.
Yeah.
So we're creating that environment. We're also but there's a trivia sheet that's just really good, and it's not just for little kids. I mean, it's for adults. You know,
adults. Yeah.
Like, for example, how many American flags did you find?
Oh.
You know, how many owls did you see?
Oh.
And in this group, there's like 18 owls, and everyone goes, 18 owls? No,
owls? What?
I didn't see 18 owls. And I said, well, look at every one of the signs that says "keep out."
Yeah.
It has the ECU
that's
logo.
a trick question.
Trick question.
You gave it away.
But we do have a lot of owls. But we do have a lot of owls in there, big ones. So
talk about the hours of the Big Fresno Fair, some of the details. There's an extra day on this as a bonus day at the end of this run, correct, with the Big Fresno Fair?
Yes.
I was really excited. You got Willie Nelson coming here. This might be the last time you see Willie Nelson come through Fresno.
Yeah.
You know, and he's doing really well and all over out there. So everybody was saying, I'm going to go out and check out Willie Nelson. I saw him back when, you know, I'm going to go see him at the Big Fresno Fair. So,
well, we don't have a lot of tickets left. So if someone's really serious, they better get out here and get their tickets purchased. However, if we end up going clean on it, which we will, you know, just come out and join the fair, and you can walk around the Paw Paw Theater and hear the show.
Yeah.
It'll be a great experience.
Awesome. So tell the hours of the Big Fresno Fair.
Well, we're open Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock, and Saturday and Sunday we open at 10.
Perfect. We're going to take a short break. John Alkire, the CEO of the Big Fresno Fair. We're on the setup day. We're getting ready as we get, you hear all the tractors running in the background, the rigs moving in and out, forklifts, a lot of excitement happening. Stay here on Talk Radio 1680 KEG for Business Leaders Live at the Big Fresno Fair. We'll be right back. Jose, give me a clear. Okay, are you going to, you can't count because you'll be on air, right? So you don't have an IFB? Okay. Yeah, I heard the music. I just didn't know how close I was right to the end. So I can go out when I'm comfortable, and then you'll play it out. I just didn't know. No, 30 seconds is good. I just didn't know if you can actually IFB count, or you?
I'm okay.
No
You got other
problem.
things to do? I'm good. We're good. I know you got a lot of other things to do. You don't need to babysit me.
Hello, everybody. We're on Facebook too, so we're live.
Good.
The whole time. So Facebook at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. So hello, everybody. The CEO, John Alkire, which if you're tuning in on the radio, you catch him there. John, I've known you since King's Fair.
Yes. 1984.
How do you remember all these years? I can't.
Yeah.
You catalog it. You keep it all together. I know the museum is incredible with that. I'm so bad with that. I just can't remember. I graduated in 90. I can tell you that. That's about it. It barely happened.
We've got a lot of cool, neat stuff for the museum this year. New stuff, good stuff, big stuff.
I had seen. I didn't get to be out here. That was another thing I missed was Jose when he came out. Ramirez. I thought that was great.
We got the statue in the case. Just finished the case about half an hour ago.
Wow.
But it'll be ready for tomorrow. Ready to go.
It's all happening.
And that was a very emotional dedication to him, too.
Hey, Guillermo, if you can go that way just a tad. Yeah, you can see the laptop. There you go. He's a great guy.
Yeah, and his speech, we got a hold of Tap Rank, and they filmed everything. We're getting his speech and put it on a CD so I can play it to school kids. I want them to hear what that man said about starting in the fields at 8 years old and seeing women work out there to the bone. And, man.
And just starting with nothing.
Oh.
Making it,
Yeah, and how he wants to fight for people that have nothing. Basically what it is.
Yeah. He's a
special guy.
Yeah, he is. He really is. He's
very philanthropic.
Really very cool.
Very philanthropic. We just bought his shoes, his trunks, his top, and his gloves from the big fight in Texas.
Oh.
All that money went to that boxer that died in the ring 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
He donated that.
Well, his stuff. We sent the check directly to his family.
Wow. That's cool.
So you might want to
talk about that.
Touch on that.
I want to touch on the museum because a lot of people they go through the whole fair and they don't even know it's there sometimes. It's hard. Yeah. You can talk about it, but there's so much to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going to Disneyland. You're not going to get everything. Stand by 30 seconds.
Listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. It's a Big Talk Radio, 1680 KGED, Business Leaders Live here Tuesday mornings, normally at 9 a.m., but we're going live for a full week. All the way to the 9th, and we'll be here in the Commerce Building just off of the Chance entrance.
Good.
Here at the Big Fresno Fair for the 136 years of the Big Fresno Fair. CEO John Alkire is joining me. I know this is a busy day. Everybody's setting up. You've got a lot to do, and you seem relaxed, but I know there's a million things going on in your head.
Yeah, but when you made the call, we've done a lot of things, like you said, over the years, and there's no way I'd tell you no, even on the day before we open. We're good to go today.
Awesome. I appreciate it, and thank you for being here for this hour. It really means a lot to me.
You bet.
When we were during the break, and if you can go to our Facebook, you can catch it at Talk Radio 1680 KGED, and we want you to share it later too, John, if you can put that out there. But you hear the conversations behind the scene, and we were talking about our local Valley boxer, Jose Ramirez, and we were talking about the museum here, Fresno County Museum. Really, is it the county or the valley?
Well, it's the Fresno County Historical Museum, and we stay pretty much in Fresno if we can. and that's what we're showcasing. I think that's important that we showcase what's right here in our backyard.
And that's the whole idea of county fairs, correct?
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
celebrating the wins of your county and what you do. And the Big Fresno Fair really does it big. I mean, the name Big Fresno Fair is not just a marketing term. You go big or go home, and you're not going home anytime soon. You go big every year.
We try to,
I
and basically what you just said is exactly what Yule Hauser said when he was here and did his special on the Big Fresno Fair. He said, I've done to a lot of fairs, but he says what you guys do here is special and it's big.
Yeah.
And he said, I love being here. He was a great promoter of California,
Yeah.
but even a bigger proponent of California fairs.
I love it. The museum, talk to me about the museum. A lot of people will come here.
Mhm.
They go around the whole fair. They see a lot of beautiful things. And I talk to them about the museum and they go, oh, you know what? We just got so busy. I didn't get to go in there. And it's not your typical museum. Let me tell you, because when you go in there, it's like a flash from the past. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have two museums. We have the Big Fresno Fair Museum that we started 10 years ago, and it has over 5,000 pieces of memorabilia in it. And it tells the story of the Big Fresno Fair from 1884 till now.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty comprehensive, and we've won super number of awards. So it's done, I think, very, very well. And then we also have the Fresno County Historical Museum. It's this two-story structure, 14,000 square feet, and it has just a tremendous amount of exhibits, one of which we unveiled last Tuesday. We did Jerry Dyer on Friday. On the preceding Tuesday, we did Jose Ramirez. We did a full-body statue.
And then that's in the museum?
That's in the museum, and it's in his
see that,
section.
yeah.
If you go up the elevator,
Yeah.
as soon as the elevator opens, that whole section in there is all dedicated to Jose and what he's been able to accomplish as a boxer, as an Olympic boxer and as a professional boxer, and we're very, very proud of him.
Give it a little background. A lot of people have heard of Jose Ramirez. They know he's a boxer. They don't know he's right here from our valley, little Avenel boy.
Yeah.
And he worked in the fields. This guy busted his butt as a young man and is very about his community. A lot of guys that make it big and they get going, they end up going somewhere else.
And they forget.
They forget about their community.
Forget the roots.
And
He's not that. He's not that type of guy. Very, very philanthropic, very religious, very much in love with his community. He cares about farm labor, obviously, because that's where his roots came from.
Yeah.
In his acceptance speech, he talked about what really bothered him as a child working in the fields of seeing older women having to work in the fields just to make a living.
Yeah.
He just said that's not right, and I'm going to do everything I can to change things. But he does so many things behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't even aware of.
Yeah.
Manuel Cunha and Rick Murrigan have done a tremendous job of keeping him focused and focused on the prize and not going one way or the other. And he mentioned that in his acceptance speech. He's a family man. He's got a little boy. And it was just an honor for us to showcase him.
To be able to do that. And you've showcased many. And when you go in that Pombo Sargent, and when you just walk through it, I was just, again, it was a flash from the past. A dear friend was pictured in there somewhere. I can't remember, for Athletic Hall of Fame. It was John Alcar, or not John Alcar, I'm sorry.
Sorry, maybe
John
someday.
Carberry. And John Carberry that started the Fresno Grizzlies, and he was a great promoter, and he was a good friend, and recently passed. And he, I immediately took a picture of it and I sent it to his wife. She's the president of the Boys and Girls Club here in Fresno County, and I immediately had to say, "Hey, he's in the museum. He's in here," and she was tickled about it. So that's really what I felt. And then you went upstairs to where the overhanging over the Paul Theater, and I saw the courtroom, Fresno County courtroom, and it was almost like a movie set. It was going back in time. So when I first saw it, so I tell people all the time, you've got to go see the museum. And behind the Paul Theater is the Big Fresno Fair Museum, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's just right across the little walkway, 12 feet apart.
Yeah, and a beautiful inside. when someone comes to the fair this year, what is the number one thing? Everybody always says, like, you got to get a corn dog, you gotta go to the concert, or you got to check out the ponies, you got to go check out the horse racing. What's the number one thing that you want people to know about the Big Fresno Fair that is very important?
Well, to me, the most important thing that we need to convey is you're coming to a safe and secure environment. And in light of what's happened this last year throughout the country, not just in Gilroy, I think we have to be aware and cognizant of these possible issues. So we need to address those way in advance. And thank God for Jerry Dyer and his staff, his team. They came to us a year ago and said, you've got 30 or 40 cameras up here. We need to bump it up. Now we've got 89 security cameras all over this facility.
Big investment on the part of the Big Fresno Fair.
Huge. But you
can't do it any other way.
You can't say, oh, no, we'll put it off till next year.
Yeah.
You've got to address it this year. You've got to be proactive. So I felt very, very comfortable that we're moving in that direction, and I think people need to know that. We're putting more officers outside this year and inside. So it's going to be the safest place in Fresno County. Jerry Dyer has always said that. The chief has always said, hey, the Fresno Fair is the safest place to go to.
Yeah.
Bad guys do not want to be even anywhere close because that's where all the action is. That's where all the cops are.
That's and you want to avoid it. Stay away from it. Yeah.
So
and I've noticed, I came here last year. We did a big event with you with Lucha Extreme on a weekend, and it was a Saturday. And I showed up Saturday night at midnight, and we'd move in and we'd set up entertainment, get ready, and that's when people are moving in and out. And it was one of the biggest attended nights I think you've had in history.
Yeah, 93,000.
It was huge. And I remember running into Officer Tucker on the motor unit, and he said, hey, take a nap. It's going to take a little while because we're clearing out the fair. And he said, this is the biggest I've ever seen. And safe. A safe environment. I mean, you have your normal little issues like anything else at a shopping center you would have, but an incredible safe environment. And the other big thing I'll say about Big Fresno Fair, not because I'm a friend of yours, but is clean. It's like Disneyland. I've always said this. Disneyland has it on lock. They know exactly what they're doing, and you do too with this Big Fresno Fair.
Well, thank you. But that's a tribute to the good staff. We are not a Disneyland, but that doesn't mean we can't be as clean as Disneyland. We don't pay our folks as much as Disneyland does because, the economic stratosphere up here is a little different.
Yeah.
But there's no excuse for us not to be just as clean. But one thing that I've noticed, Lance, in my 15 years here, my first 2 years here, you're learning, you're absorbing, you're taking down notes, taking pictures. How can I make this thing better? What can we do to be better? And the one thing I noticed the first couple of years I came with, the later the night, the families were dissipating. It was more teenagers and that age group. But now we have families. I mean, big families, and they're here till the last dog drops, the last minute that we've shut the gates. There are huge families here, and I feel really good about that because I think a lot of people, years ago they thought, well, after dark you don't want to be at the Big Fresno Fair. Well, we've changed that. And we've changed that climate, and we're going to continue to keep working in that direction because it's family fun and affordable for everyone. And that's important to me because I do know we're in an economically deprived area. Mm-hmm. 1 out of every 4 families is at poverty or below. So we have lots of discounts, lots of ways to get into the fair in an economical way if you're really budget stressed. So you go online and check it all out, and I assure you, you can get in, a lot cheaper than the face value of a ticket of $12.
Then you think you can, and you do a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of community events and blood bank events. I think there's many that I've saw. I have my family is coming down tomorrow, and they're coming in. They were saying they're gonna. I don't know, there was some special going on tomorrow that they mentioned, and they're coming down for it. So I know there's, like you said, there's many ways to get a good value and support maybe a community. I know it's the food bank, I think what it is.
Yeah, we were out at Fresno State last week for the food, for our food drive for the pantry.
Yeah.
And he brings 10 cans of food in, you get a pass. And I think we gave out, the official number was a little over 7,000.
I think
tickets.
that's exactly where it was. It was Mary Castro and
Yeah. Oh.
the pantry, and they now are coming tomorrow for that.
You know, everybody
Yeah.
brags about Dr. Castro. Well, I'll tell you, behind every good man, there's a hell of a woman. And I'll tell you what, that Mary Castro, she's got my vote. She stood out there the whole day. I just went the last shift at night,
Yeah.
you know, till we closed up about 8 o'clock. We were supposed to close at 7, but the line was all the way down past the stadium.
Wow.
And we didn't want to cut anybody off. We had brought enough tickets,
Yeah.
and it was all going for a worthy cause. I mean, and they were loading up the 4th semi-truck and trailer load.
Wow.
And it started
Wow.
at 7 in the morning. So, you know, it was a big day.
Big day. And so there's, like you say, there's a lot of opportunities to come down. The other piece outside the fair, you mentioned security outside the fair and making sure there's a police force. I've always seen that police force outside because we'll come here with media and also come in here for the entertainment and setting up. And we've always seen a lot of officer involvement outside, just cruising and making sure it's a safe environment. So I will tell, just coming from my perspective, the fair is really a safe place to be, and it really is. And I wouldn't say you can go to other places in Fresno where there's money and you're probably at more of a risk.
Well,
but you have to be safe.
Besides the cameras, which were a huge expense, we have changed the gates this year. No more wanding. I mean, we're coming in with just like the walk-through metal detectors that you have at the airports. Again, very costly investment, but there is no price that is worth not paying for the safety of our public.
Exactly. And
so it'll take a little bit longer to get in probably this year than others. Yeah. But it's going to be for safety.
For safety reasons.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
I've always noticed that even in the past, I've noticed you were very careful with that. So I think it's a very I tell people all the time, have you been at the Big Fresno Fair? Well, no, and it's older people.
Sure.
You've got to come experience it because it's a really fun event. Let's talk about some of the big entertainment coming up. Let's talk about horse racing. I love horse racing. We'll be talking to John Alkire, the CEO of the Big Fresno Fair, when we return right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, good. I didn't know where we were. I was trying to get as close as you could there. Right on time. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, we can hear you. If you just give me, the 1, 30, 15, I can count the 15 as I wrap. So my mom.
Yes.
And your wife had helped her when she was at the hospital. She retired from the military.
Good.
And she was the civil employee out there, and she had. She's probably thinking, "Oh, kids, you can tell my story again." She got a fifth wheel, diesel pickup, traveling the world. So she's just going to travel all over the country.
Good for her.
And she got her dog and sold her property, and she went to Three Rivers. That was the first place she went to. So she didn't get far. Then she went to Riverland and Kingsburg. Everybody laughs about it. She had some grandbabies she had to visit for a while first.
Good.
And now she's up at Wishon, and it was 14 degrees last night, 14 or 17 degrees. It was really, really cold. And Shaver was starting to chill up.
I hear you.
So my little redhead daughter is working up there at Southern California Edison.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a forester.
Good for her.
Working with that, going still to Reedley College and 20 years old, and she's having a dream job. We would always go up there in the cabin, and she'd say, I'm going to work at this little coffee shop. I'm going to work here. I'm going to work up here in Shaver. And here she is.
Good for
up
her.
there in Shaver.
That's a great place up there.
Oh, nice place.
Go fishing every now and then. I like it up there.
My oldest daughter getting ready to open up a franchise. She's opening up something possibly downtown, Fresno.
Food?
Yeah, food.
Good.
Yeah, Hummus Republic is the name of the company. So
okay.
Falafels and really good stuff. She's vegan, and her husband is he's vegan vegetarian. He drops off every once in a while, but they have a portion of their ingredients as high protein, but like 80% of it is plant-based. Good stuff. So really, really good stuff. So they've got that going on. You got the behind the scenes here on Facebook Live. So got to remind you every once in a while.
There we go.
Yeah, like I was telling you, I'm pretty excited. We got 2 more segments, and real excited about go to the horse races this year. I get so bummed every year at the end of the year. I'm like, and the one day I usually decide to go is the day they have the buy day or the shut off.
Oh,
I forget what day, like a Monday or whatever.
yeah.
And every
We
time
have Mondays usually.
yeah, but I've missed it every every time.
But this year, the last day is a Monday. It's Columbus Day, and we're always open on the holiday.
Okay. So that'll be the last day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's Willie. So we're going to finish big.
Yep.
But yeah, the safety for the horse, that we need to
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
cover
This
that.
next, yeah.
Giving you the inside story of business leaders in the Valley and beyond. This is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We're live at the Big Fresno Fair. We're in the Commerce Building. When you come in the Chance Gate tomorrow, Talk Radio 1680 KGED will have a booth in there, and you'll be able to come in and see. This is one of my favorite. My wife loves this building. She loves this one, John. Likes to come in here and see all the new stuff, and then she goes over to the Commerce Industry Building, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, loves hitting all those booths too, and find all those special deals and everything else that she can find out there. But these are two of her favorites. Big Fresno Fair, one of the things before the commercial break that I mentioned was horse racing.
Yes.
Horse racing is not everybody in the country that has a has a county fair has horse racing. Correct?
Absolutely.
It's a rare thing, and it becomes harder and harder to produce horse racing. And I know it's something very near and dear to your heart. I know California Chrome is in the museum, and I'm sure there'll be many others over the years. But talk to me a little bit about what horse racing means to you. I know you grew up as a wrangler, or still today.
Well, yeah, I've been around horses all my life, and I appreciate them and love them and respect them. And I think with some of the problems that Santa Anita's had in the last 6 or 7 months, and now they've reopened again and lost 2 more, it doesn't help the industry out as a whole.
It's hard. And explain to people who are listening right now in Santa Anita, they have some horses that have went down.
Yes, they went down. They had to be put down. There was like 30 of them, and for their entire meet, and then they closed, and then just opened up a week ago, and then they've lost 2 already. So they have some problems down there, and they have to address those ASAP. The CHRB is the governing body out of Sacramento that watches over all horse racing in California. Mm-hmm. But we have to be concerned about what we do at the Big Fresno Fair and the presentation and the product that we deliver. And I'm very proud of what we've put together. Everybody, since the Santa Anita problem, has asked me, well, what, are you worried? Are you worried? And I said, well, let's think about it. We've been racing here for a long time, but we haven't had a loss here in 5 years.
Yeah. So knock on wood. That's
knock on wood.
But I think the big thing is too, safety is the #1 priority. I mean, it is for the fair goers. It's for the athletes that run on the track, and the athletes, the horses are very important to you.
And really, that's the goal of every place that they race here in California at California fairs. We try to make sure we put out a safe product. We have the same guy that does all of our tracks. Mm-hmm. So the tracks, we try to keep them as consistent as possible. Steve Withits, I think he's one of the best in the business. And he's here, and he's been on site for the last week and a half. We brought in extra additives this year. Mm-hmm. More mulch, more sand to mix it a little bit deeper, make sure there's enough fluff. Try to make it as safe as we possibly can, because, Lance, I know you've been around horses a little bit too, and you recognize that when horses run all summer, mm-hmm. and the Big Fresno Fair is the last race meet, they come in just like football players, like athletes that have been playing all season. They're sore. They might have been injured earlier. They're coming off an injury. They're tired. They're bruised up. And if they're going to get hurt or go down, I mean, this is the place that it's going to happen. Yeah. So that's why I'm so proud that we've been able to, knock on wood, have a safe facility the last 5 years. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to lose one, not going to lose one here at the fair. We could. And that's a part of horse racing. Yeah. The problem is that with the Santa Anita issue, the microscope has just gone on the whole thing down there.
And the media blows it up. Media, it's an animal.
And the animal rights activists, they're all on it. And our governor, he's he's pretty adamant about saying, hey, guys, you know,
But
get your act together.
you as a business leader
Yes,
here
sir.
on Business Leaders Live, you know probably in regulations, there's probably some more stringent regulations that need to be in place to protect the animals and protect the jockeys and protect people in the business to make the business better. Just as I think you recognized also too, just safety here at the fair. It comes sometimes at a price, but that price has to be paid to create the environment that you've created. And people, once they feel comfortable and they're here, your business will grow. And I think that's the same with horse racing too. Like you said, I think track, we were talking about it off the air, track is so very important, making sure that you're putting time in it.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you probably have some ideas of things that they need to be looking at to make this business safer and help out organizations like Santa Anita and be able to regulate it.
Well, Santa Anita, you know, they have a long history there, but you know, the record is the record now.
Yeah.
So you got to straighten up and do things a little bit right. I think also industry wide, you know, the thoroughbreds, we start them pretty young. You know, I went to school at Cal Poly, graduated from Cal Poly. I lived over there with Bill Gifford, who was head of the horse department, the rodeo team, and he was a tremendous breeder of horses, good horses.
Yeah.
And he always told me, he says, we'll bring them in, we'll break them at 2 years old, sack them out, make sure they're good to go, and then turn them out for another year, and then we start them at 3. Well, a lot of the thoroughbreds, the good ones there, they're running them at 2.
2 years old, yeah.
So they're, you know, I think when you start them too young, they don't have it, their bones don't have enough time to really fuse, I don't think. But, you know, I'm not a vet.
Yeah.
I'm not a vet. That's just my opinion. I think we start horses way too young. I think they need to have some time to mature and grow. We always have to regulate any kind of medication that is administered to a horse. You know, we don't want him running hurt and then have some type of a masking drug on there that he doesn't feel any pain and then he breaks down. So, you know, those are veterinary questions, and those issues have to be addressed.
I'm sure they're going to be looking into it and making sure it's addressed. So
in depth.
Yeah.
In depth.
And here at the fair with the horse racing, that's another, to me, it always is a great experience. I feel like I grew up going to Los Alamitos. My uncle, 18 years, I believe. Uncle Danny, got to get it straight on Facebook. I'm sure you'll chime in here in a minute. But Danny Cardoza, my uncle, godfather, he was quarter horse jockey there for many
Great jockey.
years. Yeah,
Great jockey.
Great. And Danny is in the Hall of Fame in Amarillo. And I don't know if he was very first in the Quarter Horse Hall of Fame, but I know it was a big deal. I know my grandpa was very stoked that my dad would talk about it. And my dad was so proud of his brother. And it's funny, I talked to my uncle one time, and I said, I miss my dad. And he said, you know, I miss my brother too, but he used to scare me so much.
Yeah.
That's my dad. Yeah, so Ernie and Danny's still with us, and Ernie's rope and rodeo and his whole family, and Danny is over at the Pinnacles on a horse ranch there on old John Andrini's ranch, and he manages his ranch over there. So John Harris and Andrini friends.
Your uncle, you know, when you race those quarter horses, I mean, that's like hooking your rear end to a rocket ship.
Yeah.
I mean, they go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in just, I mean, the blink of an eye. And boy, it's amazing. You know, thoroughbreds takes them a mile to kind of get up to speed, but once they get up, they're going. But I'm telling you, those quarter horses, they come out of the hole hard.
And you just hang on.
Oh my goodness!
You just hang on. And I remember hearing the stories, and I remember as a kid watching television, and my dad was so excited to watch my uncle, and I don't know if it was the American Cup, or I can't remember what it was. It was not Pie in the Sky, because he won a big one with Pie in the Sky. He's probably going to comment on Facebook, but he had gone down, or a horse had gone down. And like you say, it's like attached to a rocket when you go shooting out in quarter horse, and it was raining, so it was really bad, and we knew nothing. Only what television was telling us. And in those days, you know, you didn't get the good angle, and you just saw it happen, and my dad was very stressed out about it. I just remember that as a kid and thinking, wow, this is serious. This is serious business, you know. We roped and we rode, and I remember falling off or getting bucked off, and it was traumatic. But when I saw that, I thought, how do you get out of that? And like my uncle said, you just avoid getting ran over. You know, when you go down, it's, you know, there's nothing you can do.
It's a dangerous business, you know.
Yeah.
Jockeys, break their necks, break their arm, break their legs, get paralyzed, lose their life. No different than a football player or anything else.
It's like a race car driver.
Race car driver. It's all dangerous.
It's a sport. It's absolutely a sport. So the horse racing, I know there's a big day usually with a bulldog.
Oh yeah.
Stakes. So when is that?
That's on the Saturday.
Okay.
But the big days are the Fridays.
Fridays.
Fridays at the grandstand. I mean, you just it's elbow to elbow, and it's just a great camaraderie of group that they all come back. On the first Friday and the second Friday of the racetrack. We're sold out both Fridays this year already. Yeah. We've been sold out for a month. So that's always a good sign. Opening day, Thursday, we're going to have 8 races. And then Friday, of course, the big day, we'll have 10. So it's going to be a good card. We just pray we got enough horses to get to the end. That's every year you worry about that.
You worry about that.
Yeah, because we ship in a lot of horses. Yeah. They ship in, they race, and as soon as they race, they get in a trailer and they go back.
Yeah, and they're back doing circuit.
Yes, yes.
So we talked about, before this segment, we're talking about not many fairs have horse racing.
Right.
What? How many just in the state of California fair-wise?
5.
5 total. So we're one of the big players here in Fresno.
Yeah, and we'll be one of the last players too.
One of the last. Yeah.
We'll be here to the last doghouse because horse racing has been so much a part of our heritage and our history. You can go through the museum over there and you'll see we were match racing in 1884. Yeah. My horse against yours, and then whoever won raced the other guy over there and match. Yeah. And they were giving watches out and things like. We've got a lot of that memorabilia.
Prizes and stuff. Yeah.
And then that's how fair started. If you think about it.
Yeah.
My grandma's pie is better than yours, and then, wait a minute, my uncle's hog is a lot bigger than yours, and that competition, the community, the camaraderie, and getting together for annual events. That's how fairs and festivals started, was competition.
They'd put together the big blue ribbon award, and they'd hand out for the pie and the hog and the fastest horse. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
One of the big things, and I've talked about, and we'll talk more about fair, but when we come back from the break, a lot of people don't realize it, but the term watching a train wreck. I know that's something I've mentioned before, and we've talked about it in the spectacles, but that's what the fair is all about, a bunch of great, cool stuff. So when we come back, we'll talk about that and more in the entertainment right here on Business Leaders Live. Don't go away. More to come. I've always wondered if you guys ever did locate train wreck.
They're supposed to be buried someplace on the ground.
I just would love to see just a piece.
And we've run metal detectors. So
try to find it. Yeah.
I don't know where they'd be. That's a lot of iron.
Yeah. Who photographed the photograph? Was it a certain photographer?
Pop LaBelle.
Was it Pop? I thought so. It would have been Pop.
Yep.
You're joining us Facebook Live. We're talking a little bit about the term train wreck. Was when years ago they used to make big, like the P.T. Barnums of the world, and they would take 2 locomotives and they'd actually add some explosives to it and have them run into each other and make a big spectacle out of it. Yeah. It was like a little kid in King's Fair, and you coming up as a fair manager going, "Hey kid, you ever heard of monster trucks?" And I'm like, "What's that? Monster truck? That sounds cool." Yeah. But I didn't know what it was. Yeah. So everybody had to go see it for the very first time.
Soroyan was in the stands hawking Coke.
Oh, wow.
And he wrote about that years later that said it was the biggest farce.
Yeah.
But it got everybody there.
Huge.
And they were only going 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9 miles an hour. I mean, they could, in a short distance, those steam engines, and then they had dynamite set in the front of it, so it would go off and exploded. So he said it was
shrapnel going everywhere.
Yeah. He wasn't too complimentary on what the fair had done.
Yeah.
But, it worked. The pictures look good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. You look at the crowds, my God, the place was packed.
Packed.
But think about it. Back in those days, what else was there to do?
Yeah.
Nowadays, we've got so much competition.
There's so much entertainment. You could just go on social media and you'll be entertained for hours and be lost in a time hole. Yeah. Yeah. And then it was a simple way of life.
Yeah.
The simplest things. Yeah. That's why the movie The Greatest Showman, and you see Barnum is that he what he did back then. Visionary.
Oh,
You know,
he's
a lot of people
masterful.
say it was a con man.
Masterful.
No, John Carberry with the Grizzlies was accused of being a con man. And look at this beautiful stadium. And it always people are worried about if you draw big crowds and you entertain people, that, you're the con man. You got them to do it, and you put smiles on faces, and that's pretty impressive to be able to do that. But I always thought the train wreck, the term the train wreck, watching a train wreck, was, it came from a real happening back in the day. So incredible stuff. We should be back here shortly. But anything we need to get in on air that we need to wrap with?
Let's see. We can talk about the livestock sale, on the last Saturday. That's big for the community. Actually, we have sales on both Saturdays. We have the small critters on the first Saturday in the dairy, and then on the second Saturday we have the beef, sheep, and swine.
Okay.
But those kids are awfully good. They're, those are the kids we want back in our community. Our 4.0 program, that's probably one of the best.
We'll talk about that too.
In the country, bar none.
Okay.
So we're really proud of that. In the entertainment, I think we're 3,000 tickets ahead of last year, same day, sold. So that's good.
We'll talk about some of the entertainment too.
Sure.
Give me the 10-second. We're at 10 seconds now. 15 seconds. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. We're live at the Big Fresno Fair. We got a lot of noise in the background as everything's moving and
Sorry
shaking.
about that.
No, we love it. We love it. That's the experience of going live on location at the Big Fresno Fair. Been sitting here with the CEO of the Big Fresno Fair, John Alkire, and this year, the 136th edition of the Big Fresno Fair, we've talked about all sorts of fun stuff. We talked about safety. We talked about the new features here at the Big Fresno Fair. We've talked about horse racing and news that's going around about horse racing, and it's if you've never gone out and experienced it or been around horse racing, I grew up around it, so it's like something I want to go back. I feel it's nostalgia to me, but some people have never gone because they don't understand. I don't know how to bet. You don't have to. You just go see it, and you get the bug. You get the bug, and you go, wow, this is pretty great. And it's really like, to me, it's a legacy charge that I feel it brings back memories as a kid. But the entertainment in the Big Fresno Fair is, again, it's go big or go home. You always bring big entertainment, and you do a great job. And there's always there's a plethora, or it's like a diverse group of entertainment that you bring. What this year stands out to you personally that you're pretty excited about it? Really?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about diversified entertainment. That's what makes the Big Fresno Fair the Big Fresno Fair, because we have over 80 different cultures represented just in Fresno alone. Yeah. So there's a lot of likes and dislikes, and everybody kind of goes in their different directions. It's kind of like spreading fertilizer. It's just, there's a lot of everything. So in our entertainment offering, and we only have 5,000 seats in the Paul Paul Theater, so it isn't like going to the Save Mart where you've got 12, 14,000. So we stick within the entertainment that we can afford and do a good job and be able to pay our bills with the entertainment that we book, because we receive no tax dollars from the state of California here. What we make is what we make. Yeah. And we have to cover our rear ends and make sure we pay our bills and all that good stuff. But a lot of people think that we're at the public trough like a lot of the other fairs, and we aren't. The bigger fairs, especially the racing fairs, there's no subsidy at all.
Yeah, no subsidy from the state.
Yeah, and it's a shame, because even though we're a larger fair, smaller fairs express the same problems, the same needs, the same wants. You just need to add zeros.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You just add zeros.
Mhm.
And so we have big maintenance issues that we have to address. So
That's what I was going to talk to you.
extra dollars would have been nice, you know.
Let's say the state did subsidize a piece with a big Fresno Fair. What is one of the big things as the CEO of the Fresno Fair? What would be the first thing that you would do with the experience? Because the experience is incredible here for the people.
Well, we did, even though we didn't get any money from the state. We invested a lot of money from the chance gate all the way to the entrance of the grandstand. That's all new asphalt. We took everything out and redid it because it was, you know, they used the term alligator.
Yeah.
There was
scaling.
Yeah, and there was holes and potholes. So we've been patching and patching for 10 years that I've been here. Finally, my staff and I put our heads together and said, hey, now's the time.
Mhm.
We've got to do this because it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
Trip and fall, trip and fall.
Yeah.
So that we went in with that. Last year we did a major overhaul as far as plumbing in the grandstand. And there's always electrical issues that, you know, when you've been here for 136 years, things have been put down years ago, torn up, put back down, and you need to make sure that we keep the infrastructure safe and sound.
And so with the, like I say, 136 years, fairs were started with the best of. So it was best of my horse is faster than yours, my pie is better than yours, my hog is bigger than yours. And one of the big things that I know a lot of families love to go see is the livestock area. And I had a sheep lamb when I was at the fair. That's, again, how we met.
Sure.
You were the manager of the Kings County Fair, and I was doing some photography, and I had a lamb, and I did a terrible job at it. It survived and made it through the fair. No, it was a good little fat lamb. But you had come across me one day, and you said, hey, kid, with the camera. And I thought, boy, I'm in trouble. I've told this story several times, but I thought, this guy's in charge. He's got a golf cart. And it was one of those golf carts, you remember, it had the one wheel in the middle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just had that thing, and you came coming up, and I thought, oh, boy, I'm in trouble.
Thought I was going to throw you out.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought, oh, no. I was taking pictures for families down there, and you said, you got film in that camera? And I said, depends, you know? It's like, depends. What do you want to know? I got monster trucks here tonight. I need a photographer. And I thought, okay, he's roping me in. Something's going on here. And you were serious about it. And I got in the golf cart, and I think he gave me $20. And I went over to the track and photographed Bigfoot, I think, and it had the
we were the first one. We were the first track to have Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, yeah.
And my photographer had a death in the family, called me about an hour before the show and said, hey, I can't make it. Had a loss in my family. I just can't make it. Well, I freaked out.
You were devastated, yeah.
So, man, I went hunting, and I found you.
You found me, yeah.
But, you know, I'm glad you brought that story up because the 4-H and the FFA kids, just like you, you were down in the barns, and that's where you started. You haven't followed in that same animal science arena, but you started there, and that's where the movers and the shakers that I think in the future are hopefully coming back to Fresno to live and to reside and be the leaders that we're looking for tomorrow. And that's why we preface and push a lot of promotion at our 4-H and FFA sales. Yeah. Because those dollars go into, I think, the cream of the crop of the kids, and I think it's important to support those kids. We have 2 sales on both Saturdays. On the first Saturday, we have our smaller animals in the dairy, and then on the second Saturday, we have our beef, sheep, and swine, the larger animals. And both arenas are packed.
The sales are fun to just watch.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
And we'll push in gross sales well over $1 million in those 2 weekends. So, you know, praise God for all the good people in this community that come out and support those kids, because those are our future leaders of tomorrow. Just like our 4.0 program on opening night of the fair. If you have a 4.0 or above, everyone in the county has got a letter congratulating them for their academic excellence and inviting them to the fair. There's tickets in there. Bring your ticket. And, oh, by the way, fill this ticket out and put it in the tumbler because you may win something, a nice prize. So we give about 30 or 35 gifts away, like iPads, iPhones, bicycles, gas cards, 35, 40 of those kind of gifts to kind of get the crowd going. Yeah. And then last year we gave $89,000 in $3,000 increments cash scholarships, and they're all picked from the tumbler. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what your name, your last name is, or who you might know on the selection committee for a scholarship. No, they're all equal. You walk in the door, put your name in the tumbler. So we give out 89,000 there, 30, 35 nice gifts to start off with, and then the last ticket we draw is for a brand new Corolla.
Toyota Corolla.
Toyota.
Toyota Corolla.
Yeah,
They
and
get
this
a
is
car.
this is our, I believe, our 9th year doing that.
Incredible.
So it's a lot of investment back into the community, but where better else to
Yeah.
put your money? Where better else? I always say talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Then put your money up and let's invest in these kids and hopefully come out to the sale and support them. And the kids that have their 4.0 and better, those moms and dads keep that going.
Yeah. Keep it going, and know that this is here for them too, because this is a great way to reward them for the hard work they put in. You were saying, put your money where your mouth is. The other thing is to quit dreaming about it and just do it. And that's what you sort of do. You do dream, and there's a process to obtain it, but you do it. And you encourage other people to do it too. And I know you always refer back to the team, refer back to the board and the friends of the fair, because without them you can't do what
Absolutely.
you dream about.
Couldn't do anything.
You couldn't do it, but you do put a fire in the belly, and you get people to do things instead of just dreaming about it, because we can talk about the problems till we're blue in the face, but if we don't do anything about it, it's still just a problem.
That's true.
Yeah, we can't resolve it. So that's what I've really taken from you over the years, and just watching you evolve, and going from mid-state fair to Tulare and coming home. What I considered coming home, you're coming to the Big Fresno Fair, and then now 15 years
Absolutely.
of doing this is so awesome.
Absolutely.
What's some of the big acts? Let's talk about the big entertainment that's going to be here. I know we talked about Willie Nelson, a lot of diversity going on. Which one you're really excited? I know you're probably excited about Willie Nelson, but is there one that stands out to you that you'd want to see?
Well, I think a lot of the nostalgia acts kind of excite me. For example, CCR, I think that's going to be a great show. And the good thing about that is that Kearney Bowl race car that we had donated last year, we've got it up 30 feet off the ground now. So all the guys that built that car, they're coming to CCR that night when they were going to take a picture under the car, which that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
I think the best show we've got coming is Paul Anka.
Oh, yeah, Paul
That'll
doing
be
some Sinatra, I heard.
Pure Las Vegas. He's singing a lot of his Sinatra stuff, and that'll be by far, to me, one of the best shows. But Ice Cube, Bobby Jones, Bobby Bones and the Raging Idiots, that's going to be huge. Keith Sweat will be a monster show.
Oh, that'll be big. Yeah,
And Ice Cube will set them all on fire.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be good.
Those will be hopping off. You can go to FresnoFair.com.
Yes.
Get all the details for the entertainment. The 136th year edition of the Big Fresno Fair. CEO John Alkire, thank you so much.
My
I
pleasure.
Appreciate it, brother.
Anytime.
I appreciate
You know that,
it.
brother.
And this is great. We're getting all set up. We're wrapping up here at the Big Fresno Fair. We'll be live every day with Business Leaders Live at 11:30. Thank you for joining us.